Hello, my loves. David says I've got to talk to you again. But he didn't have to try and persuade me this time because I've got something to tell you. Thought about you. Do you know, by accident, fiddling around with my television, I'm not very good at mechanical things, you all know that. Well, all right, you can't be good at everything. I was fiddling around with the television thing, you know those things. And all of a sudden I thought I saw Lily Langtry. So I tried again and pressed in and up came, Lily Langtry. There was a play, or was it a film? Anyway, something about Lily Langtry, and I thought this will be interesting. And there were so many episodes. Oh, I know what it was. Have you found it? If you haven't, look around and find it on your television thing. It's a new programme and it's called ITV3 Encore, meaning done again. You know, when people shout, encore, encore, and you sing again. So they were playing over certain programmes that had been well loved some time back, and they were redoing them. Well, I don't remember seeing Lily Langtry, but I thought, well, this will be interesting. And, it was. I did enjoy it. I think it was on for it must have been a serial because it was on several times, perhaps for about an hour. And it was gorgeous. I loved it. It was super. And of course, Lily Langtry, can you hear me? But don't tell anybody else. She had a bit of a fling with the Prince Regent. She did. Well, it said so in this. Of course she did. Yeah. Anyway, I watched this and I'm back in that period that I love so much. You know why. Because every play you come to see in Chatsworth House that I do, you know they're always written or set in the Victorian period. So I loved it, and I'm watching to see. I tell you what, you know this play that we're doing in just over a week's time that you're all going to come and see, or you'll be in severe trouble? Well, it needs certain things that I've not had to use before, like one of those, you know those sash-like things that you pull to let the servants know that you need attention up in whatever room you're in. I need one of those. And also, when they wanted to ring, I know I've seen in other plays that they press like a large bell, and that rings down to the servants' quarters. So I thought, right, that's good. I'm going to watch the rest of this. And it was jolly interesting, and I watched it, and it was super duper. So next time you come into Chatsworth House or into the theatre, you can imagine the Prince Regent and Lily Langtry. I say, they might even have been in my little box at the back. You never know, do you? Anyway, I thought I'd better just tell you. One or two people have asked me, it shows how interested they are, how I come to select what plays we do. And it's quite difficult. You can't put it in a nutshell because it's ruled by so many things. I feel that the onus is on me to find something that's absolutely spot on for that gorgeous little theatre, because it's quite a unique experience, you know. You can't tell me any other theatre that you have been to where the approach is through a magnificent estate, and if the sun happens to be shining, your first glimpse of Chatsworth House, it will be glittering with gold, and then you come into the house itself, and if you're a bit early, you will be shown very politely through a long shop and into a place where there is a bar, and you can have a drink of your choice. And you know where you're drinking that drink of your choice? In the long sculpture gallery. Are there any other bars you know with beautiful pieces of sculpture and artistic things that you can be looking at while you're enjoying your drink? Well, you can when you come to see my plays. And then it's nearly time now for the show, so you go out of the bar, not tipsy I hope, and you find the stairs, the lovely, lovely old stairs that have been there forever, that you come up to the theatre doors. And when you open those doors, you find the theatre. And let me tell you, in case you didn't know, that was originally a ballroom. Oh yes, it was. It was a ballroom with all those magnificent panels, oil-painted panels, all round the walls and the ceilings. Beautiful. But, very good for me, several of the Dukes of Devonshire have been terribly interested in theatre. And there was one particularly so, and I forget the number, but one Duke of Devonshire was so keen that every time he went down to his London house, he went to the theatre as often as possible. He was a friend of Dickens, got Dickens to come up and give a performance, not in Chatsworth House, but in Derby, all connected up. Anyway, he was so madly keen, and so was the next Duke after him, that they decided to have a theatre within Chatsworth. And so this Duke, he must have got sent for a fellow who was building Victorian theatres in London. They're nearly all Victorian theatres, you know that, don't you? And he got what I like to call a job lot. Can you imagine it? I can. I'm quite stupid like this, you know, but I picture several horses and carts driving up the M1 to Chatsworth House with all the necessary to put in a stage. With the proscenium arch going round, you know what that is, like the picture frame, around the stage. That was all authentic Victorian stuff, beautifully done, gaslights put in there as well, all to make it fit for a queen, because Queen Victoria went up several times and enjoyed entertainments in that very theatre. Now, with all that history behind, you can see, can't you, how much I feel the responsibility of having to select the right play. And you will have noticed, I'm sure, that they have all been Victorian or earlier, whether they're set in Victorian times or written in Victorian times. And I don't need to tell you some of my favourites. You will remember that. So I'm looking around for another Victorian play to do for you this time. And suddenly the idea flashed to me, why not do a Victorian melodrama? There are so many things that have been written since about Victorian, particularly Victorian London, that have involved murders, nasty murders. What about that barber? What was his name? Can you remember? Well, think about it and tell me later. What about the man who murdered all those ladies of the night? Yeah, my word. A lot of fog, gaslights, dim and mysterious, super background for nasty things to happen. Anyway, back to my story. I am thinking that a Victorian melodrama would fit the bill. And two immediately came to mind. One was The Heiress, which I knew was taken from a fine novel by Henry James called Washington Square. And the second one was called Gaslight. But I hadn't a clue who'd written that. And how did I know about these two? Because, my loves, they were both turned into films in the 1940s. In fact, they both won awards. I've not heard of other films being made since using these as the subject. There might have been, but tremendous films. I saw them both. Well, I was only very little at the time. Goodness me, working out your maths. But they had a tremendous impression, or I wouldn't have remembered them, would I? I had a copy that I could read of The Heiress, which is very, very good, and I thought I would do. But then, to make sure I'd got the right one, I also sent for a set of Gaslight. And wow! We read it through with not the cast that I now have got, but with anybody who happened to be there at this little meeting. And we all, as it finished, we all went, wow. I'll tell you how the man achieved this. Because he made the action continuous. Now, you know, in the programme you will see Act 1, one Wednesday evening in January, Act 2, 3 months later in London, and so on. Not this play. Act 1 goes straight into Act 2. There is no time lapse at all. For instance, if I am lighting your cigarette as the curtain closes on Act 1, when it opens on Act 2, I am still lighting your cigarette. And so on into the third act as well. Now you can see, therefore, all that action takes place in one evening. And so the effect of what happens is multiplied. It's not weakened, it's multiplied. And it really is gripping. It grabs you from the first few minutes. You won't want to go out at an interval, but, well, we have to have one, don't we? So there will be an interval between 1 and 2, but not between 2 and 3. And it's so gripping. Do you know, I never looked at my script. I just watched the folks performing and directed from there. It's fabulous. It's absolutely fabulous. I'm not going to tell you who did the murder or what happens. That wouldn't be fair. Do come. I know you will enjoy it. Do come. This is Gaslight. Bless you.